Imagine to be lost, then picked up and caged with the great possibility of being put down. Atlanta has a homeless pet problem. Although there are options for the public to defeat this growing crisis, without awareness and education, the problem will only grow larger. One organization leading the way is the Atlanta Pet Rescue and Adoption. Their goal is to give the public a resource for pet adoption and education. I had the pleasure to speak with Judy Price, who guided us through ways to combat the homeless pet problem. Judy, you seem very passionate about your cause here. Can you tell us what exactly Atlanta Pet and Adoption is?
Sure. We are an organization that takes in pets that basically are homeless. Sometimes they're about to become homeless because their owners can't or don't want to keep them anymore. And so we take them in. A lot of our animals come from animal control. A lot of them may be scared when they're there, so they've been deemed unadoptable. Some of them may have been injured. Some of them may be sick. And so we get calls all the time from different animal control facilities saying, I've got a pet here that maybe you'd be interested in. We can't put it on the adoption floor because, you know, if a pet maybe snapped at someone, they just won't put them out. And so their only choice is to euthanize or put them in rescue. And in many cases, the pets that become homeless and the ones that people can't keep because of behavior issues, a lot of times it's a people problem because we as humans are bigger, stronger, smarter, and these animals are eager to learn if they only understand what it is we want them to do. And so for a lot of them, it's amazing. Dogs that were turned in because they would tear things up when left home alone and weren't housebroken get adopted, and we'll tell the people, by the way, the former owner said this dog isn't housebroken and it would tear things up if you left it home alone. And they take the dog home and call back the next week and say, you know, you said that dog wasn't housebroken. It is. It's never had an accident. Fantastic. Or you said it would tear things up. Well, it just plays with its toys. And so it always kind of makes us wonder, you know, what went wrong in the first home? Was it that they didn't realize that you'd take the dog out before it needs to go potty? Did they just leave it home alone with no toys but the TV remote or a nice pair of leather shoes sitting out? You have to sort of know how to train and try and structure things for success rather than waiting for failure and then administering punishment, because dogs don't learn anything from punishment. They'll do anything for praise and to please you if they know what it is. So that's kind of the trick to it all.
Right. And Atlanta is known to have a pet population problem, from what I understand. A lot of strays
Absolutely.
On the streets, cats and dogs.
Yeah.
Either running in packs.
Yeah, and you know, part of that is because there are folks who don't have fenced yards and don't walk their dogs on a leash at night. They think it's dark, I'll open the door and send Fido out to run. And they may join up with other animals that are in a pack. And some people just let them run loose all day long, period. The overpopulation problem is significant, and you know, again, spaying and neutering can be done in an affordable fashion if people just inquire, because there are services out there. For example, pit bulls can get fixed free. Feral cats can get fixed free.
Okay.
And there are organizations like Lifeline Animal Project that will do low-cost spays and neuters for the public at large. There are other vet clinics like one we use, the Pet Vet up in Cumming, Georgia, who is primarily a spay-neuter clinic, and their fees are very, very reasonable. So they're, compared to the cost of rearing a litter of whatever they are, cats or dogs, and possibly having medical bills associated with that, spaying or neutering really is cost effective. But most of all, it's because we don't need any more pets.
Yeah.
We just don't need any more pets.
Well, from what I understand, Atlanta Pet Rescue and Adoption, actually, your organization is a non-kill, volunteer-based organization. And
That's right.
How does that set you apart from the others around?
Well, many of the shelter groups that are operated by individuals are all no-kill shelters. We're largely volunteer supported because there's a lot of work to be done all the time. We have volunteers who are foster homes. We have volunteers who will drive the dogs up for the spays and neuters. There are volunteers who do grooming for us free. Our volunteers, one of the things I tell them all when they come to the orientation is that when you're a volunteer here, you're not just a little cog in a wheel doing a this or that. You're empowered. You see something that needs to be done, you are empowered. We want you to feel ownership of the organization, and as such, our regular core of volunteers really feel more like it's kind of like a sorority or fraternity in that we're more family-like. We have about 60 volunteers who actively come. If you look into the dog pens out there tonight, you see 2 volunteers who are here to help with the cleanup and shutdown of the operation at night.
The education, that it's so important, and even to re-educate in some instances as a pet owner, and for other people considering adopting a pet, the things that they need to go through. So do you offer workshops?
Yes, we do. We are working right now with Amber Burkhalter, the canine coach, and she's a great trainer here in Atlanta, and we do have a seminar coming up June 6th or 9th, I'm not sure which. It will be open to the public, dealing with the topic of dog aggression. As you're saying, you know, we do education, we just do it in so many levels.
Right.
All the time. When people adopt from us, we encourage them to call us with any questions or issues they have about training, behavior. If the dog looks at them cross-eyed and they wonder if that's normal, whatever it is, we try and support the adoption any way we can to make it work, because we believe that the people are qualified to adopt and a good match with the dog they've selected. And that's another part of our educational venture, is that a lot of people come in thinking they want the wrong kind of dog for their needs. Moms, for example, want a really tiny dog because they think the dog won't hurt their children. And we have to explain to them that it's really the reverse. Is the dog sturdy enough that their children won't hurt it?
Oh, okay.
Because tiny dogs are easy to break. If a small child trips and falls, for example, carrying a dog in their arms, they're either going to toss the dogs out of their arms or fall on it. And they have little twiggy bones. Legs get broken. And I've met many a mom at vet clinics saying, oh, I wish someone had told me a Yorkie was not a good choice for my kids, because we've had, you know, $1,300 in orthopedic surgery, and we now have a dog that limps forever.
Okay.
Because it was too fragile for the children.
Well, I'm curious to know more about the dogs that actually come through here and the process of adoption.
Sure.
How people actually go through choosing and how you actually make a selection to know that this is the right time and they can take the dog home.
Yeah. People come in and meet us and meet dogs after they complete an application. Some people do it online, and we get those in via computer every day, and we print them off. Our staff will send a reply to them if they had questions, or they might say, this is a great application, come on in. Our main criteria are to try and get to know the people and their lifestyle so we can help make the selection of the right dog for them, and to learn a little bit more about how long they're gone during the day. Who are their family members? Do we have to worry about a toddler, or are you going to have toddlers? And then we interview them, they meet the pet. If we feel like it's a great match and they're comfortable with it, we do an adoption. And they go home with the dog with its little collar and ID tag on, a leash. We have a dog feeding program that provides us with small bags of food so that the pet can go home with the food that it's been eating here, so we don't have any stomach upsets due to transitioning food. And a whole lot of instructional materials to hopefully help them integrate the dog into their new home.
On the website, I noticed there was a page dedicated to new adopted pets and their owners.
Oh, yes, yes.
And I thought that was great to have their testimonials and their pictures.
Oh,
Can you
yeah.
tell us more about that?
Yeah, that's called Happy Tales. And that's something that just really warms our hearts, too, because people will sometimes write back and send us pictures of their pet and let us know how they're doing. They'll call in also. But we have this section, and we'll put it on the website when people do that. And it's a feel-good kind of thing, and to learn how the animals have developed or progressed, or see them in their environment.
If someone who is interested in being a part of your organization, if they are not able to actually adopt or volunteer, what other options do they have?
Well, we do have volunteers actually who work from home, who will take some of the chores home with them. Like I mentioned, all the dogs go home with a little collar with an ID tag on it. Well, volunteers put the collar with the ring and the tag together and make it one unit, and there are folks who take those home and do it from home. We've been very fortunate in that some young children in particular have taken up Atlanta Pet Rescue as their cause and have organized a donation program. For example, going out, some Girl Scouts recently did it for their Bronze Award project, and they solicited in their neighborhood and through their school for things like paper towels, laundry soap, and bleach. And they made the flyers, had a designated date when they picked the stuff up, gave the people brown paper sacks to put the materials in, and then they gathered them all and brought them here.
You mentioned the shelter, and I know you have a program that's called Buy a Brick.
Right.
Can you tell us more about that?
Sure. This was another volunteer inspiration that came about from one of our long-term volunteers who had seen the Centennial Olympic bricks and said, you know, why don't we do this as a fundraiser for us? And it would be neat to have the bricks, and when we get our own shelter, we can install them in some fashion. And so for $35, people can send in the form that shows how many spaces and characters you have, and memorialize a pet if they want to, or anyone for that matter. And we have some of the bricks installed here. We have several more in the back, probably another 100 in the back. And it is our goal that when we get our own permanent shelter, that either part of the exterior or maybe a brick walkway, something that's permanent, we'll have that installed.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
You seem very humbled. I know you've recently been honored with an award. Can you tell us anything about that?
Sure. That was the Channel 11 Alive Community Service Award, and I am deeply honored to have received it. I had no idea that I was getting it. They choose 11 people every year to receive the award for their obvious service to the community. But beyond that was when the event was over and we did a little picture taking after everyone was leaving, Charlie Laudermilk's daughter came up to me and took my hand and she said, I don't know if you know me, but we have one of your dogs. And that their dad had to come to the interview as part of the family, and that they were worried about him being good enough to be approved for the adoption, which I thought was just really special. And the lady who was the chairman of the dinner event, her name is Gay Love, as we're standing on the stage, she took my hand in hers and she said, my son has one of your dogs too.
Well, it's an honor to meet you and learn more about
Thank
this
you.
organization.
Thank you for the privilege of filming this.
So the next time you're considering adopting a pet for the first time or adding to your existing pet family, think of the Atlanta Pet Rescue and Adoption Organization. Remember, you're not only doing something great for the pet, you're doing something fantastic for the community. You can make a difference.